makes shots.
I know how great Joker is. He sees plays before they happen.
I haven't seen anything like him.
He just knows his game. I think he's a player that just knows who he is on that court.
This isn't just another MVP-level season. This is the NBA quietly losing control in real time. Night after night, teams walk onto the floor knowing exactly who the problem is, and still walk off with no solution. Nikola Jokic isn't breaking the league with speed hops or highlight reel force. He's doing something way more unsettling. He's dismantling it with calm, with patience, with decisions that land before defenses even realize they've already lost the possession. That's what makes this stretch feel different. Jokic doesn't look like he's attacking anyone. He looks like he's waiting for the help defender to blink, waiting for the rotation to lean half a step too far, and when it happens, the punishment is instant. A pass you didn't see, a soft touch that shouldn't fall, a possession that ends before the defense ever gets set. But here's the part that should really make the league uneasy. Jokic isn't doing this in isolation. This isn't one superstar dragging a roster behind him. Something is forming around him again, timing, chemistry, confidence, the kind of ecosystem that turns dominance into inevitability. And once that clicks fully, the conversation shifts from who can stop him to something far more dangerous. Because when control looks this effortless, it usually means the real damage hasn't even started yet. The NBA has a Nikola Jokic problem again, and the scariest part is how familiar it all feels. The numbers are absurd, but they barely register anymore because he's already broken the scale. Triple-doubles don't shock. Hyper-efficient nights don't make headlines. A casual 30-point 15-assist performance slides by like background noise. When greatness becomes expected, it stops sounding dangerous even when it still is. Every defender who steps onto the floor against Jokic knows exactly what's coming. They've watched the film, they've memorized the counters. They know the soft spots he hunts, the angles he prefers, the passes he throws before most players even see the option. And it still doesn't matter. Jokic gets to the ball where he wants it. He waits, he reads, he reacts. Not faster than anyone else just earlier. By the time help arrives, the decision is already finished. What makes Jokic lethal isn't power or speed. It's how normal his dominance looks. No explosive celebrations, no emotional spikes, no forced shots to prove a point. Just possession after possession where the defense slowly realizes it's being managed. He doesn't rush the game, he controls it. The defense isn't losing because it's confused, it's losing because every correct choice still leads to a bad outcome. That's why teams leave the court frustrated instead of angry. It feels like they did everything right and still failed. Jokic doesn't overwhelm you. He erases your options. He turns solid coverage into a losing bet and patience into a liability. You can double him, but you're late. You can stay home, but he scores. You can adjust, but he adjusts faster. And here's the quiet warning hiding underneath all of this. This season doesn't feel like a replay. It feels calmer, cleaner, more deliberate. Jokic isn't just doing what he's always done. Something about this version is shifting and the league hasn't caught it yet. Nikola Jokic isn't reinventing himself this season, and that's what makes it dangerous. There's no new flashy move, no dramatic shift in style, no headline-friendly transformation. Instead, he's doing something far more terrifying for the rest of the league. He's sharpening everything that already made him unstoppable. You can see it in how few possessions get wasted now. There's less probing without purpose, fewer moments where he holds the ball just to feel the defense out. The reads come quicker, the decisions land cleaner. Jokic isn't rushing, he's simply arriving at the answer faster than everyone else. Where other stars improvise, he calculates. Where others react, he anticipates. This is Jokic playing the game like a veteran chess master. He's not hunting stats or trying to overwhelm defenders with volume. He's managing the board. He's happy to take 10 shots if that's all the defense gives him. He's just as comfortable passing up a good look if it opens a great one 2 seconds later. That patience forces defenses to stay engaged longer than they want to, and that's when mistakes start creeping in. What's different now is the precision. Jokic is trimming the fat out of his game. Every dribble has a reason. Every pivot pulls a defender just slightly out of position. Every pass arrives exactly where it needs to be. Not early, not late. It doesn't look aggressive, but it's relentless. The defense feels like it's being slowly tightened one decision at a time. And because Jokic controls the pace, he controls the stress. Defenders don't get chaotic possessions where they can scramble and recover. They get extended sequences where one wrong step compounds into another. The shot clock doesn't feel like relief anymore, it feels like pressure. That level of control is doing something new to defenses. It's not just beating them physically or mentally, it's draining them. And once that happens, the game starts opening in ways teams aren't ready for. The passing is getting ridiculous, and at this point it almost feels unfair to call it playmaking. Jokic isn't reacting to defensive rotations, he's exposing them before they even happen. By the time help defenders take their first step, the ball is already gone, cutting through space that only existed for a split second. And somehow, he's always waiting for that moment. Defenses are constantly forced into choosing between bad options. Stay home on shooters, and Jokic walks into space for a soft finish. Collapse on him, and the ball snaps to the open man without hesitation. Send a late double, and he threads a pass through traffic that looks impossible until it lands perfectly in rhythm. There's no right answer, just different ways to get punished. What makes his assist numbers misleading isn't volume, it's timing. Jokic doesn't rack up assists by holding the ball and forcing reads. He creates them by destabilizing defenses over multiple possessions. He remembers who helped early. He notices which defender is cheating half a step too far. Then when that same coverage shows up again, he hits the pressure point immediately. The pass arrives not when the defense expects it, but when it hurts the most. It's the type of vision that doesn't just beat schemes, it breaks trust between defenders. Players start hesitating, wondering if they should help or stay attached. That split second of doubt is all Jokic needs. The pass doesn't have to be flashy, it just has to be precise, and it always is. What really separates Jokic from other elite passers is that he never telegraphs his intentions. His eyes don't give it away. His body language stays neutral. One moment it looks like a post move, the next the ball is firing to the corner. That uncertainty spreads through the defense like static. And here's the part that makes this truly terrifying. When defenses finally decide they can't let him pass anymore, when they commit to cutting off lanes and staying glued to shooters, Jokic doesn't force another read, he scores. When Nikola Jokic decides to score, it almost looks like an accident. The shots don't come with explosive moves or dramatic separation. There's no violent burst, no highlight-ready hang time. And yet the ball keeps dropping. Floaters that barely clear fingertips, soft touch shots that arc just enough to kiss the rim, off-balance finishes that look like bailouts until they fall clean through the net. His efficiency doesn't just bend logic, it feels disrespectful to it. Defenders do everything right against Jokic. They stay vertical. They contest without fouling. They force him into awkward angles and uncomfortable footwork, and then they turn around and watch the ball fall anyway. It's not that they're playing bad defense. It's that Jokic's touch neutralizes good defense entirely. The shot quality doesn't matter when the release is perfect and the timing is unbothered. What stands out most is how unhurried he looks even in traffic. Multiple bodies collapse on him, arms, reaching feet, shifting chaos forming around the rim, and Jokic remains calm. He doesn't rush the finish. He doesn't force elevation. He just waits for the smallest window and drops the ball through it. That patience makes defenders feel like they're moving in fast forward while he's operating in slow motion. It's exhausting to guard because there's no moment where you feel him panic. Late clock situations don't change his rhythm. Physicality doesn't speed him up. Even when the defense wins the first battle, Jokic is already setting up the second move. He doesn't need space, he creates just enough of it with balance and touch. And now comes the part that turns this from frustrating to terrifying. Defenses used to load up on Jokic and dare someone else to beat them. That strategy is slipping away. With more reliable scoring around him, those extra bodies can't fully commit anymore. Which means Jokic is scoring with less resistance than ever, and the game is opening up in ways the league isn't ready for. Jamal Murray doesn't just complement Nikola Jokic, he multiplies the pressure. He isn't a sidekick waiting in the corner or a secondary option living off scraps. He's the force that keeps defenses from selling out the presence that turns Jokic's dominance from frustrating into overwhelming. When Murray is fully engaged, every defensive decision becomes heavier, riskier, and harder to recover from. This version of Murray isn't waiting for April. For years, the league treated him like a seasonal problem, quiet early nuclear when the lights get bright. But now he's arriving early and staying consistent. The shot creation is sharper. The reads are quicker. The confidence is steady instead of streaky. Defenders can't afford to see how the night goes anymore. Murray punishes hesitation immediately. What Murray does best is force defenders to stay honest. You can't cheat toward Jokic when Murray is ready to pull up from deep snake up pick and roll or slip into a mid-range window before help arrives. One step too far toward the paint and Murray makes you pay. Stay glued to him and Jokic suddenly has space to operate. That tug of war is exactly what Denver wants, and right now they're winning it possession after possession. The chemistry between them is quiet but deadly. There's no over-communication, no frantic gestures. They trust the read. Jokic knows where Murray will be before Murray gets there. Murray knows when Jokic is about to turn a dribble into a pass. That rhythm turns good defense into a guessing game, and guessing is fatal against players this skilled. And here's where things get even more unsettling. Injuries were supposed to slow Denver down. Instead, they've shifted more responsibility onto Jokic and Murray at the same time. With fewer safety nets, the two-man game has tightened, sharpened, and grown more decisive. What started as a necessity is quickly becoming a weapon, and it's making this partnership more dangerous than ever. Injuries were supposed to be the thing that slowed Denver down. Missing key rotation pieces usually forces stars to do too much to rush possessions to burn energy early and fade late. With Jokic, the opposite happened. As teammates missed time and the margin for error shrank, more responsibility fell directly onto his shoulders and it sharpened him. With fewer outlets to rely on, Jokic simplified everything. The reads became quicker. The decisions became firmer. There's less probing, less feeling around for the perfect option. He identifies the weak point immediately and attacks it. Whether that means scoring drawing help or creating a chain reaction that ends in an open look, the choice is made early and executed without hesitation. This is Jokic operating in what feels like hard mode. Fewer defenders to hide behind. More possessions where he has to initiate, finish, and organize at the same time. And instead of wearing him down, it's elevated his command. He's dictating tempo more aggressively now, deciding when the game slows and when it suddenly spikes. Opponents don't get comfortable stretches anymore. Every possession feels weighted. The scary part is how repeatable it looks. There's no sense that he's overextending himself. No signs of forcing offense to cover gaps. He's conserving energy by making the game easier for himself, not harder. That's a nightmare formula for the rest of the league, because once those missing pieces return, the difficulty level drops, but the habits stay. Jokic is learning how to win possessions with less support, and that knowledge doesn't disappear when the roster gets healthier. It compounds. The reads get even cleaner. The control tightens. The pressure shifts back onto the defense where it belongs. And we've already seen what happens when games tighten under this version of Jokic. Late in close contests, when mistakes matter and nerves usually show up, he doesn't speed up or pull back. He takes over, and that's where this becomes truly dangerous. When games tighten and the margin disappears, Nikola Jokic doesn't chase hero shots. He doesn't hunt the moment, he owns it. Late-game Jokic isn't about forcing baskets, it's about forcing mistakes. Every possession becomes a test of discipline, and defenses usually blink first. What makes him so lethal late is that he dictates who gets the final look without ever announcing it. One trip down the floor, he backs his defender down patiently, drawing just enough attention to create doubt. The next, he flips the script and fires a pass the instant help shows. Defenses can't predict whether the possession ends with a Jokic floater, a Murray pull-up, or a cutter slipping behind the defense. That uncertainty is paralyzing. Close games don't feel chaotic around Jokic. They feel controlled. The shot clock becomes a tool instead of a threat. He slows the game down to a speed that favors decision-making over reaction time. While defenders are calculating scenarios and scrambling through coverages, Jokic is already executing the simplest solution. No wasted dribbles, no rushed reads, just calm pressure applied over and over until something breaks. What separates him from most superstars is his willingness to let the right play be the final play. He doesn't care whose name ends up in the box score. He cares about leverage. If the defense sells out to stop him, someone else eats. If they hesitate, he scores. There's no emotional tug of war. It's transactional, clinical, and that's why late-game defenses feel trapped. You can't bait Jokic into forcing a shot. You can't take away all options at once. The more you prepare, the more predictable you become. Jokic reads that predictability and turns it against you. By the final minutes, it often feels like the defense is reacting to decisions that were made 3 steps ago. The game isn't speeding up, it's narrowing, and Jokic is comfortable in tight spaces. Zoom out, and this becomes even more unsettling, because this level of composure isn't situational, it's systemic. And when you see it across entire games, not just moments, you realize the problem facing the league is bigger than one clutch possession. The league keeps searching for a solution, and that's the first mistake. There isn't one. Schemes don't work against Nikola Jokic because he adapts mid-possession, not after a timeout, not after a quarter break. In the middle of the action, while defenders are still processing the coverage they just executed, Jokic is already responding to the next layer. You can't speed him up. Pressure doesn't rattle him. Traps don't force panic dribbles. Physicality doesn't disrupt his balance or timing. If anything, it simplifies his reads. The harder you push, the clearer the picture becomes for him. That's why aggressive defenses don't overwhelm Jokic, they organize him. You also can't outthink him. Jokic sees the floor as a moving puzzle, and the pieces never surprise him. Switches zones late, help early help. He recognizes the intention immediately and attacks the weak point before it fully forms. By the time the defense adjusts, the damage is already done. And because he doesn't rely on speed or athletic advantage, there's nothing to take away without creating a new problem somewhere else. Ignoring his teammates isn't an option either. Load up too much and Murray burns you. Stay home on shooters and Jokic walks into clean finishes. Overhelp from the corner and the ball finds space instantly. Every adjustment creates a counter and Jokic executes that counter without forcing the issue. That's why this isn't about effort or preparation. Teams aren't lazy. They aren't unprepared. They're running into a structural problem. Jokic doesn't break plays, he breaks the logic behind them. The defensive rules that work against everyone else don't apply here. The system itself starts failing. And that's the part that should make the league uncomfortable. Because structural problems don't get solved with tweaks. They require something drastic. A personnel overhaul, a philosophy shift, or luck. Which leads to the bigger question hanging over this season if no one has an answer and Jokic is this controlled, this efficient, and this adaptable. What exactly is everyone waiting for? This is the part where people usually wait for the drop-off. The cold stretch, the adjustment, the moment when the league figures it out. But with Nikola Jokic, that moment never really comes. Because this isn't a hot streak or a lucky run of form. It's sustained dominance playing out so calmly that it almost feels invisible. Jokic isn't chasing legacy moments or headline performances. He's not hunting MVP narratives or forcing signature games. He's building something quieter and far more dangerous inevitability. Night after night, possession after possession, he's proving that his style doesn't rely on momentum or emotion. It holds up under pressure, fatigue injuries, and playoff-level intensity. That's not a phase. That's a foundation. What makes this unsettling for the rest of the league is how much room there still seems to be. This version of Jokic is operating without chaos, without urgency, without Denver fully firing on all cylinders, and yet the results keep stacking up. The control keeps tightening. The margin for error keeps shrinking. So the real question isn't whether Jokic can keep this up. It's what happens when Denver fully locks in, when the rotation stabilizes, when the chemistry sharpens even more, when this calm dominance meets peak execution. Because if this is Jokic at his most composed, most patient, and most efficient, then what we're watching might not just be greatness in real time. It might be the beginning of something the league never truly solves.